No, Federico Rasbarini. That's the other guy.
Oh, that guy.
Federico Rasbarini. These fellas looking just like a meatballs.
And it's like, yeah, you can barely understand them.
That's a nice. Hire them.
Yeah.
That was it?
It took me years
Saw them
to
look like meatballs. Like hire them.
Yeah, to find out what he was actually saying. Disney did announce they were doing Avatar, an Avatar Land, a couple of years ago now, right? Or was it just last year, maybe?
A year ago?
I don't know. It feels like years ago.
No, it actually might have been a couple years ago. It might have been, actually.
Might have been. All right. But Disney sort of re-announced Avatar not too long ago. I don't know if they've necessarily released more details, but they've released some new artwork.
Well, I think it's a little more detail what they're going to do.
Well, you can kind of tell what they're going to do based on the artwork that they released.
Yeah, 'cause they didn't even have artwork at first, right? It was just a raw announcement of we're doing this.
Yeah, and I think maybe a picture of Jim Cameron with Joe Rohde or something. I don't know.
Oh, okay. And that was it. And then it was just like, this is happening. We don't know what's going to happen yet, but it's happening.
Yeah, right.
And that's nice. And so...
That seems a little premature. I understand that they were excited, but if you didn't have anything on paper...
Well, I think that's a problem this day and age, though, because it leaks anyway. So the only way you can kind of get it out there before it leaks and everybody knows anyway is to just announce it really quick. So I don't fault them for doing that, per se. So, I mean, the idea... All right, so they're doing an Avatar Land, one of these... I almost feel like we have to come up with a name for this now, because it's obviously a trend, at least between Disney and Universal. Would we call it the Superland, or the... What is this new thing?
You mean
started
like,
with Potter.
Yeah.
And then they kind of did like a retro overlay over Fantasyland in the Magic Kingdom, Florida, to kind of make it one of these lands. There's Cars Land.
Cars Land. And
They're,
Universal just kind of did Simpsons Land.
And so these new super lands, or again, I don't know what kind of coupon day or something. Sound like the lawyer from Jurassic Park. I'm like,
oh, I don't want these lands to only be for the super rich.
I know, it's super lands.
Well, it's a new land.
Yeah, but it's like another category now, because it's like where it's gonna be more highly themed and detailed, and it always is accompanied with like a one of a kind drink and some one of a kind food, and it started with Potter, Wizarding World,
so
and it's like this new thing now where it's, I mean, they are just lands by straight definition, but they're more than a regular just adding a land.
All right, Superland is fine. I think that's good.
I'm sure someone will coin an actual phrase at some point, because it doesn't look like this is going away either. It's just going to keep going. This is like the new idea now.
Yeah.
Because I think building whole new parks has just become too expensive, even for Disney and Universal.
Yeah.
They're all in with these super lands,
going land crazy,
and I guess why not? Because it's big business.
Oh sure.
I mean, it's working.
I think it's actually good.
It's working.
I think it's all good, really.
I don't not like it. Yeah, it's fine trend. Oh, I'm in. I'm down with it. So Avatar is going to be the super land that's going to go into Animal Kingdom in Florida.
Right.
It's going to take over Camp Mini Mickey, otherwise known as that area where the Lion King show is.
Right. But well, not anymore. They moved the theater. Or they're in the process of building a new theater.
Right, to get it out of there, and they're going to do Avatar.
Yeah.
So, I mean, our first thoughts on the whole thing was that it's not a good idea. And
yeah, well, it seems universally accepted that this is just kind of a bad idea. Nobody seems to be very excited about this.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even the vibe that I'm getting, even from big Disney fans, is that they're not excited either.
Even James Cameron admits this is a terrible idea.
Yes, Jim Cameron himself.
Because it just, I don't know, Avatar didn't seem like... Well, they announced, the initial announcement was made in conjunction with an announcement that there was going to be 2 more Avatar movies. 2.
Oh, yeah.
So that was sort of part of this, too. So it's going to become a franchise anyway.
Oh, definitely.
Because as a one-off, it just seemed like it was one of those things that just caught everybody's attention when it happened. But it was very in the moment, and it didn't seem like it was really going to continue or have any momentum to carry it beyond what it was. Just that one movie event.
Right.
It just didn't seem like it might be a great idea to make a whole land out of. That wouldn't even open until some 5 or 8 years after the initial movie came out, and then would be expected to last for another 10 to 20 years beyond that.
Right.
You know, that's something that you really got to make sure this is a proven franchise that's going to stand the test of time.
Well, the sequels will make big bucks.
Which, I mean, yeah.
At least the first sequel. I think there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Whether people actually like it or not is something else, but it will make a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
Guaranteed.
It's an interesting choice. It was out there.
It is.
I mean, I think it's definitely...
It did exist.
It's definitely a reaction to Potter. And the fact that they didn't get Potter.
I get why they chose Avatar, the highest grossing film of all time. I get it. And it's family-friendly-ish with sort of an edge. It has, a bunch of crap in there that they can use, they can work with. But at the same time, it feels a little knee-jerk-ish.
It's really not Disney style either.
Right, it feels like we need something. Right, we need something with a little bit more of an edge, but that's still family-friendly enough that we can get away with it.
But it's kind of not, though.
But everybody went to go see that movie. It was the highest-grossing movie ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw it, for Christ's sakes. I
didn't.
Part of my money.
I saw it later.
Into
I
that.
say it later on. I saw it later on. I didn't see it in theaters. I didn't buy into that craze.
I saw it later at
I tend not
the end
to.
of its run because I held off for as long as I could, and then I finally said, I think it may have already been the highest-grossing film of all time at that point.
Oh.
And I said, well, I got to see it now. I got to see what the hell this is all about.
Oh. Which is what everybody said.
But
that's how this thing
sure.
It's, it's a snowball effect.
Because you build the land, like you said, however many years, the land opens however many years after the movie comes out. Nobody's going to give a shit.
Yeah.
Not nobody, but it's
because I know we had this
gonna be
discussion
huge.
in, of all places, the Three Broomsticks about Potter. We were in it. You're
I
in
remember
one.
that.
You're immersed in it, and we're talking about it. And I know with Potter, at least this was a couple years ago, but I don't know if your feeling has changed since then. But although because not as much time has gone by, you can't call it for sure. But I do think that if there is like a successor to Star Wars, it's Potter. I think it's there. I think that's the one. That was the franchise, and they were, at least from what I read, if what I read was to be believed, certain art, and it wasn't just rumors and rumor mill sites and stuff. It was some actual articles that at one point Disney and Universal were competing to get Potter. Like Disney was in the running to do it.
Yeah, they wanted it.
But Universal won.
Right.
Because that was the one. If there was a franchise worth making a super land off of, at least a recent one that has had movies come out recently and is considered maybe a 21st century franchise, it was Potter.
Yeah. Well, they had,
and then Avatar was just sort of like we got to get something else. So what the hell? Let's just take that because it was the highest grossing of all time.
Right.
Let's just take it.
That's why I say it feels knee-jerkish.
Oh, certainly, yeah. So I think that, and then of course, what they really did was they went around and bought Star Wars, which is not 21st century, but it's still valid in the 21st century.
Oh yeah,
and it's probably the biggest franchise of all time. And they went ahead and got that. And that's why I think at one point it felt like they were not even going to do Avatar after all, because it seemed like, well, they did something better in the end. They did Star Wars.
Right.
Because that's the other one that deserves to have a super land made out of it.
Yes.
You know, you got Potter, you got Star Wars. Star Wars should have been done first because the movie came out a ton before, but things fall the way they fall. I mean, there was Star Wars attractions, many since the 80s, but, you know, but not one of these super lands. Universal did it first with Potter, and then they'll do Star Wars. That would make the most sense.
It would.
And that's a proven winner. Of course, who could debate that's not going to be a huge success? That people won't go for a Star Wars land. Of course they are.
Of course they're
it's going to be a huge.
Yeah.
Billions of money. Billions of money.
Billions of money.
It's getting late. Billions of dollars to be made on that. Guaranteed.
Yes, definitely.
So, I'm still not so sure about this Avatar thing, though. I really don't get where this fits in anymore.
It doesn't. That's what I'm. Yeah, we're both saying this. That it's not. It's not a good idea. It's not relevant. It didn't have a lasting cultural impact like Harry Potter and Star Wars.
Yeah.
did.
In fact, even we just passed a new Halloween, and was the Avatar costume did it even rate this year? I didn't see it.
I don't know.
It seemed like the superhero costume was the big. Every billboard, every Halloween spirit and Halloween adventure store were all pushing the superhero costumes.
Yeah,
you know, most of them being Marvel, which, you know, ironically enough, is now Disney as well.
Yeah.
You know, where I think that first Halloween after Avatar, that was a big movement.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Dressed up like one of the blue Avatar people. But that only went through about one Halloween season, and then that was it. And it's not really. It could very easily, if they weren't doing a couple more films, it could very easily just be lost to time and become a very dated, like, oh, that was so first decade of the 2000s. you know, it would be one of those things. It really wouldn't carry over. They're kind of forcing it with movies that are not warranted. I think people will see them, like you said. They'll make a lot of, at least the next one. If that one blows, the third one will probably see a drop off, but at least a second one, people will go out to see it. But I don't know that they're really asking for it. I don't know that anybody's really sitting, you know, like, oh, they really need to make another one of those now.
Yeah.
I need to find out what happens. Like, what? They didn't leave it off. They didn't leave anything unresolved. It's all just kind of happened. And I mean, I guess whatever.
Yeah, I guess
their magical land was still technically endangered by the evil military guys. Well, it didn't end the whole war, but
well, yeah, that's the thing. It's not like humans stopped mining everywhere.
Yeah.
I guess
the point is, I feel that the movies alone are going to be shaky at best. You know, the sequel films, and it's going to be really difficult to have even remotely the same impact as that first movie did with people. And then you got a land in a theme park. And I just don't know. I don't know. This is going to be a rough one.
Yeah. I guess the hope is that the stuff that the Imagineers come up with and stick in there is just really amazing.
What do you mean Imagineers? Is it just Joe Road at this point?
Well, whoever the only one him left? And
there's only like 3 left anyway. First of all, I think they only employ about 5 people anymore, and they outsource everything else.
Well, whatever they stick in that land,
whatever Vekoma coaster,
it just
and Garner Holt designed dark ride they decide to put in.
I just hope it's really incredible and amazing, so that it's elevated beyond Avatar, and it just becomes an amazing land in and of itself, and amazing rides in and of themselves.
Well, you know, it might because Avatar it is just sort of a twist on nature, right?
They're just doing Beastly Kingdom, but with a twist.
Yeah, it's just a twist on
that's what they ended up doing.
It's just a slightly
it's wacky nature.
Yeah, it's a slightly more organized, orderly, beautiful version of nature. So it will kind of fit into the park, and it will kind of it'll work in that sense. You know, I mean, it really in the end, it's just, you know, you just ignore the stupid walk around blue people, and well, they already have that too. In the back of the park, they were green. They ran those guys. Those green guys on stilts, or they're they're meant to be like camouflage or something. People, they would like blend into the tree.
Yeah.
And they'd move for a short spurt and then they'd stay still for a while. Those wacky stilt walkers. So it's like that.
Right.
You know, so it's almost stuff that they were already kind of doing, like a hyper real version of nature, which they kind of already did with that Tree of Life, and some kind of weird fantasy-like characters walking around. They're already kind of doing that, and now it's just a way to tie it in with a franchise and slap a name on it, and you know, hopefully get some bigger attendance for that park. So
it looks like they're doing.
In that sense, I guess it's a good idea. If you bring it down to the bare bone, the root of this whole thing, it works. I guess we could continue to debate for hours upon hours about whether Avatar specifically is that great of a property for any one of their parks. But
it's not.
For this park, just to get something in and get this park, I want to say back on the map, but maybe on the map for the first time in a way. I don't know if it's ever really been that much on the map.
Well, Everest
kind of made a splash.
Yeah, that was pretty big, and I think remains pretty big.
I guess people like that ride. I know I didn't really.
No, we didn't really care for it.
There are people that like that ride? No?
Yeah, I think
kids and families, I guess.
I think families like that ride.
Kids and families, because it's like, hey, it's
the John Cena of coasters. Kids and families.
It's the kids and families.
Yeah, if it can help that park out, great.
Yeah, so that'll be good, and it will fit because it's just all about nature. It's this hyper real version of nature. It'll be cool. They'll put lights in everything.
Yeah.
It'll look really awesome at night.
After however many years, a whole bunch of years, people won't even remember what the hell that land is supposed to be really themed to. They're just going to remember, it's Pandora, because they're just going to call it Pandora.
Right, and the point is, I think, hopefully it won't matter.
Right, so they'll just
if they do it right, and just do this crazy fantasy nature thing, then it'll be cool. It'll still work.
Right.
And they have a few of those flying beasties.
And they'll say, that Pandora land is cool. They're not going to call it Avatar land like people call Hogsmeade Potterland or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to associate it. This is a bunch of years into the future. This is kind of a long ways off, but people will not always remember, I think, what that land is, the original idea of that land. Yeah,
possibly, but it might not matter. It'll just be kind of...
Right. I hope it doesn't, yeah.
It could still be kind of neat.
Right.
And it could still work. So
right,
I guess
that's
cool.
what I'm hoping, that it'll still be cool. I want it to be good. You know, I don't, even though I don't really care for Avatar, I don't think it's a good idea for a theme. I do want it to work, though. I want it to be good. I don't want them to put crap in. I'm not rooting for them to fail. No. I don't think either one of us are saying that.
No.
And I think that's important to make that distinction.
So I think it's also important now to take a few minutes at least, as we've already run this into the ground, but to talk about the limited details they've given at this point of what it's going to have within this land of Pandora. So based on the artwork, I mean, they're going for this fantasy nature look. One thing that stuck out to me was they say they're going to have floating mountains, which I don't know how they're going to pull that off, but
they'll probably be.
I mean, I guess water
against the backdrop, and then they'll just be attached to that backdrop. You won't see the arm that's holding.
Oh, if they actually go for it that way, okay,
that's what I'm thinking.
If they,
what I'm saying, you can't see it all the way around, so it'll look like it's floating.
Okay.
Maybe it'll slightly move up and down. Who knows?
It'll be like in the distance of the land. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be in your
beyond
face.
park limits, and then it'll just so they could control it and control your viewing angle. All right, I think maybe so. That. Or I was thinking if they somehow use water to obscure.
Oh, okay.
Maybe whatever is actually holding it up on the ground and this.
Although,
but then you won't have the full effect of just this is really floating.
I mean, this is a trend now. The scale model trend.
Yeah.
The Harry Potter
Hogwarts Express?
Yeah, Hogwarts Express. They built a scale model of that, and the Beauty and the Beast castle at the new Fantasyland.
Sure.
They built a tiny thing of that, so I'm guessing they're going to go with that kind of trend. Cars Land, they did the same thing.
So floating mountains. They're giving very little details on the attractions this thing will have, but what they are saying is there's going to be a boat ride. The dark ride will be a boat ride, or that's still just a rumor.
I don't. They haven't announced specific attractions.
Oh, they haven't. So this is all bullshit. All right, so
it's just the artwork that we have to go on.
So the artwork shows a boat or something.
So who knows what will really be built and what won't.
But supposedly there'll be a dark ride, and then when you're in a boat.
Yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean, Jungle Cruise,
Pirates of Pandora
kind of thing. Yeah,
Pandora Pirates, and a simulator,
possibly a Soarin',
some sort of a
type of ride
Soarin'
system,
Plus, the next generation of Soarin', Soarin' Gen 2,
where the thing actually moves instead of just sort of gently swaying.
We'll actually have some action to it.
Yeah,
I find it interesting that they still. At least, I mean, not that they've announced details anyway, but at least thus far, they still are not going to move into any kind of their version of Spider-Man, or even their version of Potter at this point. They just refuse to do that.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, they don't.
I don't get it.
They don't want to upgrade their.
I mean,
Indiana Jones technology, whatever that's called, something or other, whatever that is,
and combine that, and then they could have their own version of the Spider. Because I mean, Bush did it. Bush Williamsburg.
Yeah, you'd think it's.
I just think it's
would be
good.
natural.
It's good enough to just that's just a ride type. The moving simulator. That it should just everybody should do their own take on it. But I guess they're just too proud or whatever it is, because Universal came up with it first. That they refuse to do it. I don't know why.
Yeah,
it's really great, and they should do. I want to see what Disney would do with that. But they won't do it because I mean it's what is Matterhorn was Disney's take on a roller coaster, and then it was followed up with Space Mountain and then the Thunder Mountains. They did Tower of Terror, their take on a drop tower. They did Splash Mountain, their take on a log flume. It wasn't like they invented these ride types, but they did their twist on it. And I think at this point, the moving simulator is a established enough thing, and that they should just do their take on it.
Yeah, it's been around for a long time by this point.
But it's weird they won't do that.
Yeah,
they didn't invent the regular pod simulator.
Yeah,
but they did their take on it, starting with the Star Tours and the Body Wars. They won't do their version of the Spider-Man.
Yeah,
which ironically they could actually just do.
Yeah.
I don't know what the legality of that would be. But, they could actually just do a clone of Spider-Man, theoretically.
Well,
I mean, I don't know.
They have rights to the characters.
Like I said, I don't know what the legality is.
I don't think they have rights to. They don't have rights to the technology, though. I think that's a different.
Well, they'd have to do their version of it.
Yeah,
but they could do they could do a Spider-Man.
I don't know. Could they take that ride film, and use it?
I don't know. Again, I don't know about that. Again, the legality of that kind of stuff, I'm sure would.
Well, I think there's something like they can't use it in Florida,
but they could certainly, do a Spider-Man ride of that type in California.
Yeah,
interesting to think about.
Yeah,
not only could they do that ride type, but they could actually just do Spider-Man. If they really wanted to.
Yeah, because the idea of would you call it a Soarin' Plus, a Super Soarin'?
Yeah, whatever they're gonna do with this, it'll be like a Generation 2, Soarin' Gen 2.
Yeah, I'd be
Soarin'
interested
2.0
to see what that would be like, but it's not as exciting sounding as a moving simulator.
Because no matter how good it is, it still will pale in comparison.
It's still just gonna be you're looking at a screen the whole time.
Because when it's just one screen and they're in the same room the whole time, it's never as good as when you're moving through the adventure. So, but it'll be some kind of a simulated deal.
When you're riding on one of those flying creatures, whatever they are.
So that'll be an Avatar. So we have to be at least 2 rides, and then again, the rest of it's all just our own speculation. But I'm pretty sure they'll have some kind of special food. Although there wasn't in the movie, right? There wasn't anything in the movie of that nature, was there? Did they really go into what they eat or drink?
I haven't seen the movie since 2009, but
and I saw it in 2010. Later on, but
don't really remember them going.
I don't remember it. I don't remember. So it'll be interesting to see if they either force that into the second movie, knowing that they're doing this land. At Disney,
Yeah.
one of the things they tried to get Cameron to agree to do was to make sure you throw in a scene where they're dining and
Yeah, they're eating a 6-legged horse burger or something.
yeah, and there's some kind of food and some kind of crazy glowing blue drink, because then we're gonna serve that in the park. You know?
Yeah.
If they'll shoehorn it into the movie, just to make sense in the park later, or if they'll just throw it out there in the park. Either way,
Yeah. You know, that's
like Cars, because Cars Land, they did the special food and drink,
Yeah, right.
and there wasn't anything like that in the movie,
Okay.
but they just threw it in there anyway.
Yeah.
So they'll do it no matter what, I truly believe, but it'll be fun to see if they do it in the movie too. So, you know, I'm sure they'll do that, and I'm sure they'll sell plenty of merchandise.
And they'll have maybe some type of a nighttime show.
Oh, that's the other
Because the
thing.
goal is to have this park actually open at night.
Well, the goal is to actually have people
Well, yeah, all right. That's
In
not the
the-
goal.
in
It's
this
just
park.
yeah,
to warrant it being open at night.
right, yeah. So
And-
maybe they'll
So they're gonna
mess with
possibly
the
do a what is the rumor? World of Color-esque. It's going to be water screen based. They're going to do it in the river.
either that
I
or
think it'd be hard to
they're
do.
gonna do
'cause
something
There's not a lot of
with-
good vantage points, and
Right.
the river is like way down there.
yeah. There's not a good spot for that.
It's a weird. I don't know if that would really work, but
No, I think in the artwork they're showing something with the Tree of Life.
they might
They'll throw a bunch of
projections,
LED lights on
they'll
there or
add a bunch of
something,
fiber optics to
and
the
then
tree.
and they'll
Okay.
be a light show on there somehow, and I'm sure they'll come up with some other mist water screens or something. I'm sure they'll throw in a parade or 2 or 5.
5 a day, yeah. Yeah, so, you know, still not a ton of concrete information released. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're not giving any timetable, or could be 2016, 2018. No one knows
Yeah,
how long this is going to take. And
yeah, they're only starting to move the shit out of Camp Mini Mickey now.
yeah.
So who the hell knows?
All right, it's interesting enough, but I guess we should definitely cut this conversation here, because if anything, we could do this podcast for 20 years, and at least for the next 6, probably continue to talk about this and with more detail as time goes on. And they do release details, or there are actual construction pictures that people are taking on the ground. So we'll stop speculating at this point, because it's still apparently so many years off.
Yeah. Well, this announcement came as a surprise to me. I
was kind of.
I was in the camp that thought
Yeah,
this
I know what you're saying.
this really wasn't going to actually be built because there was just no activity for.
I was starting to think,
real long
I was
time.
really kind of thinking that too after a while, and but they're doubling down with the second announcement that they're definitely doing it.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know what Disney's problem is. Why does everything take so long now?
I feel like they used to be good at
I think they were, and
construction.
They really, this is really. I think it's almost starting to become a problem for them.
Yeah. They're just
Because Universal has
So
taken
slow.
the stance of being the exact opposite. Like, well, if
Oh,
Disney's gonna be
yeah.
slower than ever, we're gonna get things out, pump them out faster than ever.
yeah.
That's what they're doing now.
Transformers in Orlando,
They don't even get
built that thing in less than a year or something.
like
and,
6 months or
like,
something.
yeah, it's ridiculous.
I mean, they don't even get the current project complete and open yet, and they're already announcing the next one, or at least, there's enough stir that there's rumors coming out, solid rumors getting out.
yeah.
Some of those, may or may not even be on purpose, just to kind of get the excitement going, get the rumblings started. And that's how fast they're working, just moving like crazy to get things in.
Yeah.
And Disney, what are they thinking? Is it taking so long? Even if it is going to be spectacular, what are you doing in the meantime?
Well, a big part of it is pride, and
They
still think they're the biggest, best, most incredible thing ever, and no one even comes close to them in any category. And to a certain extent, I understand that thinking, because people go to Disney no matter what. They pull in ridiculous attendance numbers, make unbelievable amounts of money anyway.
Of course, how much they keep raising the
So,
price, people still go.
Right. It doesn't matter that they don't add a new attraction for 5 years, people still go.
Yeah.
Attendance doesn't seem to fall off for them. They don't seem to have that problem. So why should they try any harder? It's like WWE to an extent where... Well, no, the difference is WWE really doesn't have any competition.
Yeah.
Disney does, but at the same time, it doesn't seem to hurt them that much. At least on the surface.
Well, just ask the golden tickets. They're not really the best in any category.
Right.
If you ask the Golden Ticket Awards.
Yeah, I don't think they didn't win a single thing.
They never do. I don't know if they have in the history of the Golden Ticket Awards.
Yeah. Well, they don't like them.
But that's a whole crock of shit.
Yeah.
All right, I guess that concludes our Avatar. Good for them.
Well, it's like, did you see the doors at, I don't know if it's all the hotels or just maybe like Pop Century and the All Stars or something. There's no like thing for a key card. It's all just, it's like the Mickey shape. You just go, scan the thing.
I don't know.
So it's all, you have to like wear a wristband now for like everything.
So, yeah.
That's what it is now. Or that's what they want it to be.
Everyone just walks around with wristbands the whole time.
Yeah. So...
That's kind of a downgrade in a weird way, right? Because, at least myself, I associate the wristband with the smallest local parks.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That's kind of funny.
That don't have to pay one price for everyone. That you can buy tickets, or you get the bracelet. Or even traveling carnivals. You get the band.
Yeah.
And I've always associated that with those kind of experiences. And then every time I've gone to the largest scale parks, you're in a major park because you just paid, you went through the turnstile, and that's it. And you're not, you don't have a bracelet on your wrist. So I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing. I don't know if I want to have a bracelet on my wrist.
Well, yeah, one of the big things with
my entire vacation, no less,
is at least if you stay on property, you can link up the wristband to your credit card.
Yeah.
So that it's all cashless. It's credit cardless too. So you just scan the thing for whatever you want to buy, and it's supposed to like you'll buy more because you don't think about it because it's fake. It's not real
because you're not keeping track. Yeah,
right.
You just feel like
it's like you didn't take the money out of your pocket or the credit card even. So it's like
you're not thinking about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're just gonna
and then you spend more.
Yeah. Devious.
So that's what it's designed to do. It's designed to do that, and then plus, they want you, and it's just more fast pass bullshit, so you spend more time in the shops.
Well, again, it's just
getting food.
It's just another way to try to keep you on the resort.
Yeah.
Too.
Well, yeah.
Discourage you all the more from Universal or SeaWorld or Old Town or Fun Spot, Legoland. Any of that garbage. Yeah, they're just trying to keep you in, and it's another thing.
I just really hate the.
But isn't it resort guests only though? Doesn't everybody else still just get the card
right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's only.
Yeah, I think if you're not staying in a hotel, I think you just get the regular card.
They haven't rolled this out full blown, and that's part of the problem. They were supposed to be by now, but they're so far behind.
Yeah, who gives a shit? It's not really enhancing anyone's anything.
No.
It's just meant to possibly enhance their bottom line if it works.
Right.
But it hasn't even been working. They've had problems with it.
They've dumped over $1 billion into this.
People are rejecting it or giving bad comments about it that are using it, and then it's not even rolled out for everyone yet.
Yeah.
So it's a mess.
Well, I really hate the feature that they're pushing about you can reserve, I think it's 3 rides ahead of time. So say at the Magic Kingdom, you reserve whatever, Space Mountain, Thunder Mountain, and Splash Mountain, the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
You do it, I don't know, I guess when you check into the hotel or something, so that they're all set to go before you even get in the park. You don't have to worry about going to the Fast Pass machine. Oh, that stinks.
So what, you pick a time? You pick everything?
Yeah. It's all laid out, your whole day is scheduled.
But all that happens is you go to the Fast Pass line.
I don't know.
There's not a third line now, is there?
I don't know. That's something I'm not sure about. But whatever it is, they're still screwing around with the lines, which I don't like. They're still messing with the basic formula of you wait in a line for a ride.
Who cares? I still like what we do, or we did. You just get there at opening.
Yeah.
And then what? We did all 3 mountains in 40 minutes? Less than an hour?
Yeah. Yeah, under an hour.
And then we left.
Yeah.
Then did something else.
Well, yeah, no, it was that, and then you knock off. Well, at World, it's not that much of an issue. They only have 2 Fantasyland dark rides anymore, so you knock those off too, and then you're all set.
Yeah, the only really and what? It's just Pan and Pooh. It's you're thinking of.
It's that's all that's left. Yeah,
because Memory's not a problem. That's a.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Omnivore.
And then Snow.
I guess the Dwarf Coaster is
that'll be the other.
That's the other.
Now that's going to be
monster line. That's going to be ridiculous.
Well, I have a feeling that's going to be a one time. That's going to be Goofy.
Oh yeah, of course.
You do it once and then you're never going to do it again.
No, of course not.
So, yeah, it's going to suck for that one time and then whatever. And then Small World is never a problem.
No.
So yeah, that's all they have. Yeah, so it's Pooh and Pan. That's it.
So yeah,
and PhilharMagic is whatever.
Which and we didn't even do that, right? We just blew those off. We just did the 3 mountains, I think, and left. But you can
because we didn't care about Pan.
You can do that.
Oh,
you
sure.
can just get there, do them, and that's it.
Yeah.
So fuck reservations. Just another reason why I'm not a fan of the Florida Disney Resort, the Walt Disney World Resort.
Yeah.
Give me Disneyland any day. Give me.
Yeah.
It's so much better.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't even know how far they're going to take this with Disneyland.
Because it's too many locals go there.
It's that's what it is.
It has a function where
it's like a destination and regional park almost.
Yeah, it has a regional park function for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So they can't. And that's why I like it.
Yeah, it's funny that the Disneyland Resort, it being in the middle, surrounded by all this other outside crap that cropped up around it, that I guess is still considered to be terrible and a detriment, but really it's sort of keeping that park in line in a way.
Well,
because you can't. I feel like you can't totally destroy it like with Walt Disney World.
It's keeping it a park, or a pair of parks at this point, instead of the circus that Florida's becoming. It sucks.
Well, it sucks for. You think it sucks for everyone, or just for people like us?
I could imagine it's probably a split thing. I'm sure there's a lot of families that appreciate some of these new innovations they're putting in. Innovations, you might say.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Okay, good.
I would say
Communicores.
Communicores. Oh, you took my thing.
Beat you to it.
So it's the planners versus the spontaneous
I'm sure there's people that do like it, but I'm sure there's even families with young kids that go every 2 or 3 years where even they don't like it. I'm sure that I could see that.
Yeah.
Just because you're, mom and dad and got a couple kids, it doesn't mean you, like you said, you want to plan everything out every day of the vacation and every ride out in advance, and that you really appreciate this crap. Not everybody is blind to what they're doing with the, keeping your cash in your wallet, out of your hands so that it doesn't seem real and you just spend more than you normally would and then get the ridiculous bill at the end.
Yeah.
And then what? We spent this? But not everyone's going to be blind to that. Some are going to see it. And, so I think it's probably split. It must be, because they're getting bad of cards on this stuff.
It
hasn't been all positive.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's not all just because it doesn't work sometimes. I mean, I'm sure there's been some people who've gotten locked out of their room because the new scanner didn't work right or whatever, just because it's new stuff that's been put in and kinks are being worked out. But I'm sure it's not all because of that. I'm sure they're also getting negative comments from people who just don't appreciate it at all and just don't want to wear a bracelet the whole time or don't want to.
Yeah,
whatever. Want to have more control and have their wallet in their hands and whatever the case might be.
You're eliminating flexibility. It's like it's the planners versus the more spontaneous people.
Right.
They want everyone to be a planner.
Yeah, they are forcing that on you.
Yeah, that's why I don't like their ride reservation thing ahead of time.
You're right. They are. It's becoming discrimination against spontaneity.
Because what about people that like us? I mean, we want to go there. We don't have a set plan exactly of the entire day.
No, and again, we're enthusiasts, but I even people who I guess who are with young kids and again,
well, you got to be flexible.
The
with
family
young
of
kids.
4. I mean, even they don't necessarily want to plan everything out. And plus, and that's a good point too. When you have young kids, shit happens. It's the reason reason that I don't have one of the many reasons that I don't have young kids at this point in my life, because shit happens. Kids just get sick out of nowhere for some reason. Sometimes you'll just see a kid and they'll just start throwing up, and you're like, "What the fuck?" Or they just get weird and whiny, or they start crying, or they fall asleep, or this or that.
Right.
And I don't know if your 3 o'clock Splash Mountain may not work out.
I mean,
and then you're just encouraging those like family fights where then it's like, and then mom and dad get mad at each other. Why are we doing this? Well, he fell asleep again, or he's sick, isn't It's like Disney's like tearing families apart. in a way, when you think about it, it's not really encouraging people just to do what they need to do.
Yeah. Well,
you're trying to force people into things.
Well, right. Also, I mean, what if
an environment which, at least in my opinion, it's an environment for more stress and where more fights come out of those family fights.
Well, yeah, because
intra-family fights.
If you're on a schedule, that can lead to more stress. I understand for some people or some situations it can be nice because you don't really have to think about it. But at the same time, it can be tough to stick to a schedule. I mean, and also just with picking the rides, you talking about family fights. What if whoever's planning the vacation, the parents, they pick the right now it's I think it's 3 rides you can pick. What if they pick 3 rides that the kids didn't want to do, or they left out something? Why aren't we doing Splash Mountain? Like, well, I didn't reserve it, so I'm not waiting 2 hours, so you're not getting it.
That's interesting too, because we're talking about it from the perspective of the adults, whether they just be enthusiasts or their families and have kids. But that's another thing about kids too, is not just that they get sick and get weird and moody and things happen, but also I think kids are very much naturally spontaneous, because at that point in your life you haven't even learned what it's like to follow a schedule or adhere to too many rules yet.
Definitely.
So they're gonna get in, and it's classic kid in a candy store, you're kid in Disney. It's, of course you're just gonna see things and I want to do this now and I want to do that now, and then whatever you happen to be passing or whatever, then they're gonna be like, oh, let's do this, let's do that. And so now as a parent, you have to just no matter what it is, you have to just say, no, we reserve Space Mountain right now, and then just say no to everything, and then just force the kid to Space Mountain. And that's not an easy thing to do. And then you're just ruining the time for the kids. And if the kids aren't having a good time, then what the hell are you even there for as a family? Again, I don't have a kid, but I imagine if you do, and that kid is not having fun in an environment like a park, it's probably going to be hard for you to have fun. I would just imagine this. So, yeah. I think it's all a bunch of shit.
It's
They
not.
need to fucking stay out of people's plans and just be the park and just offer the entertainment.
Right.
Don't worry about, they're making enough money off people.
Oh, they're making a killing.
They really got to just stop this bullshit. It seems like it may be backfiring already, and I kind of hope it does.
Yeah.
I kind of hope this recent push towards this, whatever this is, magic something or other, what are they calling it?
MyMagic Plus.
I hope it backfires. And I tell you this,
so too.
Coupled with what Universal is doing, they're doing the exact opposite. They're just focusing on nothing but providing the entertainment.
Oh yeah.
You figure out how you want to approach it, and what you want to do first, and this and that and the other thing. But we're just gonna keep pumping out new forms of entertainment for you.
Yeah, this is really interesting, actually, how the progression of Universal's attitude towards a fast pass like system, a ride reservation system, where
It's almost like not to have it at all.
they
just have it
tried
just
it
to say they can have it.
You remember that though? Like they tried it. They put it in on a ton of rides, and it was there for a couple of seasons, and they took it out.
Yeah, a couple of
years. It didn't work for them, and now it's just what is it? It's just for hotel guests, and if you want to pay for it, maybe.
Yeah, and then an upcharge.
Yeah. So I think that's very interesting how they realized, no, this is not for us. We're not going to go this way.
Yeah.
And it works fine.
It's
not a problem to get on the rides at Universal.
That's another thing too. I mean, we've all, we've all, us, and then I'm sure anyone who's listening to this, who's made it this far in this conversation.
This is like a separate conversation.
You have to be an enthusiast if you're still with us here. So we've all, had extraordinarily long waits, and you've had I'm sure you have your few that you remember, and you really hated, and you were miserable, and you maybe even regretted it, and it wasn't worth the wait by the time you got to the attraction, and all that kind of stuff. But again, with this Disney philosophy, they're just getting to this point now where they're just assuming that any wait is negative, and I may be so bold to pose, the question. Is it?
No, I can tell you right now, I don't think so.
And especially with the family. Well, I'll bring the families back in here once again. Because we just talked about, schedules being too rigid and forced, how that can add stress and maybe even start fights within the family unit. I think a lot of positive could come out of, when you're just in a line. And that's like family bonding. Sometimes just that's when conversations happen or jokes happen and good memories happen, and it's not always just a bad thing. Like, no, you don't want to be nothing but hour plus waits on every ride, one after another. No one can take that. But, it's 20 minutes here, 15 there. You bite the bullet on the Splash Mountain that is an hour. You just use the Fast Pass the way that it's already there to navigate through a couple of the other couple mountains and keep those waits brief. But yeah, getting caught in a little line here and there. I mean, it's not always across the board negative.
Right. I mean, and these are Disney queues too. It's not even like this is a bare bones switchback pad with nothing to look at, nothing to do. These are highly themed environments that you're waiting in. There's a ton of things to look at.
Yeah. And
so
this is the next gen crap is.
Well, that's just a bunch of crap, though. That next gen stuff is just dumb.
Yeah, and most of it doesn't even work.
But that's some of the best waiting, sort of, that there is.
Well, yeah, queuing. If you have to get caught in a theme park line, those are the better ones to get caught in because.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, what are you complaining about?
They at least look nice.
In a sense. I understand, yeah. Like you said, hour plus, 2 hours, these ridiculous waits. Yeah, that's terrible. No matter what it is, no matter how highly themed the queue is, that sucks. But
moderate waits here and there throughout the day, just dispersed throughout the day.
Yeah, right.
As part of your theme park day experience, I don't think that is necessarily all that bad.
No.
And that could be, again, there could be moments within those that are just as good, and they'll be just as memorable after it's all said and done, just as much as riding the rides or just hanging out in the midways or whatever.
Yeah. But the problem is, with the way Disney's thinking, is if you're in the queue, then you're not in a shop buying something.
Well, that's the thing.
It's not
like they're
spending money.
It's not that they're so kind-hearted.
Yeah, that's not what it is.
That they just think, nobody likes waiting in any line. It's negative, so we got to make sure they're not waiting because it's going to make them not feel good.
Yeah.
Because in the end, no, you're right. Yeah, they're just looking at it. It's negative for us because they're not available to spend money in a gift shop or a food stand.
Right.
And we need to make them available at all times for those things. So, yeah, it's all, almighty dollar.
Yeah.
That kind of garbage.
But again, if you look at Universal, they built Wizarding World of Harry Potter and made a killing without this bullshit.
Yeah.
They made an incredible, all-encompassing experience, and people flocked to it. They loved it. They didn't care about, the wait in the line, and I wish I could have planned this ride out ahead of time and all this stuff. And it's like, that's not what it's about. It's like, you got to build something incredible for the people to check out. That's what's going to get people in the park and keep coming back. And they will like you.
Yeah, and they've kind of proved it with that, with the Potter.
Yeah, and Disney's not building attractions. They're just doing this other bullshit. It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Build rides, you idiots. That's what it's all about, is the rides. Build incredible rides. That's mostly what it's about, I should say. It's not about trying to...
It's not about keeping people out of lines.
It's not... Right, yeah. Yes. Yeah, because the line is the worst thing for them. It's money that's tied up in something else.
Yeah.
That's a really awful way to think about it.
Yeah, so next they're going to figure out a way to... so you don't have to sleep. Because, you're not spending money when you're sleeping.
Yeah, that's a negative.
So they're going to figure out how to have some kind of, sleep machines, and you just walk in and you just shut your eyes, and this, some kind of radiation pours over you, and you just it somehow rejuvenates your body equivalent to an 8-hour night's sleep in 15 minutes or something. And then you walk out and you feel fine, you're ready to go, and in this way you don't have to actually have regular night sleeps.
Yeah.
When you stay at Disney resorts. So you're just, 15 minutes a day, you're out of it, and that's it. The rest of the day, you're up, spending the money like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's the next thing. I'm sure they're already working on it. In the Imagineering labs, that's what they're doing.
Radiation?
Yeah, they don't give a fuck. They just, that's it. They're gonna, radiation. The guy's gonna be growing third balls. You have a hidden Mickey on your nutsack.
That's the sign that you've been irradiated by Disney.
You've been to Disney, yeah. You have your hidden Mickey and your balls.
So a hidden Mickey ball sack, and for the women, there'll be hidden Mickey third nipple or something, third breast.
Oh yeah.
The shape of a Mickey.
That's gonna be great.
Oh man,
they're working on it.
Hey guys, we'd love to know what you think. Post a comment or a question on thanksforriding.tumblr.com, or you can email us at thanksforriding@yahoo.com. We're on Facebook too.
Whatever happened to MySpace?